Wow, what a gnarly day to skateboard. Surely no weather predicament can ruin it.
There now shall be heavy rain.
Oh, fiddlesticks. Whatever will I do with all of this heavy rain outside? I know. I'll talk to a non-existent audience about the game Heavy Rain. Heavy Rain is a story-based game, first and foremost, which means the story quality of something like Big Rigs over-the-road racing ain't gonna cut it. Luckily, this isn't the case 90% of the time. You see, the overall plot of the game is that has been kidnapped by the origami killer, and you've got to save him and find the origami killer too. Heavy Rain uses 4 characters that you switch between to weave its narrative. You've got Ethan Mars, the father, whose favorite catchphrase is "No!" But he has been known to say "Jason!" too. There's Scott Shelby, the private investigator, who's probably related to Mike Biggs somehow. You also play as a woman named Madison Page, who you'll spend a lot of the game questioning whether she's a lesbian, but not be quite sure. And finally, there's Agent Jaden, who's a secret agent FBI guy or something, and he's got super high-tech glasses. He's a drug addict too. All of these characters are indeed more complex than I make them sound, and when you pair the good overall characters with the good overall plot, you've got a story good enough for your local librarian. Unfortunately, Heavy Rain's game director, David Cage, suffers from occasionally retarded writing disease. The biggest example of this is in the game's prologue, where Ethan's son, Jason, died because he wanted to wander ahead of him in the mall. And he wouldn't turn around until I had yelled, "Jason!" 100 times. Then he promptly decided to run across the street into a car where he died, and I was laughing a great deal. This clearly was not the reaction David Cage wanted from the player. Other examples of poor writing include giving Agent Jaden super high-tech spy glasses. Sounds like something a 7-year-old would come up with. Also, having a character named Kramer. Why would you name a character Kramer? I'm just gonna think he's Kramer from Seinfeld. I can't take a character seriously if he's named Kramer. No one's named Kramer. Heavy Rain is definitely unique in the way it plays. Due to the game's goal of being an interactive story with more emphasis on the story part, it's basically 90% QTEs. A big gimmick of this game is choice, and it's supposed to give every player a sort of unique playthrough. I know I did a few things differently than other people. You can also have the characters die by screwing up the QTEs during an action sequence. I had Agent Jaden die by accident, but I was okay with it because he was a drug addict, and the FBI told me that winners don't do drugs. Speaking of screwing up the QTEs, Quantic Dream had a few screw-ups while making them. For example, I feel that all the button prompts should have been the shape of the button you were being told to press. So the L2 button should have looked like this, and not that. This could have made things feel more polished and just easier to understand during the action-packed QTE sequences. Another place where Quantic Dream screwed up was the scene where you have to go through a bunch of electric wires. You have to hold down so many buttons, it's practically criminal. After completing this, I went to a police sketch artist so they could identify what David Cage looked like. And I showed him this scene. Here's what he drew. My investigation in the heavy rain has found that it is indeed a good game. It has an enjoyable story, paired with unorthodox gameplay to create a nice little package. Yes, it has some flaws, but doesn't detract much away from the experience. I'll file this as a 4 out of 5. On the International Top Games database, I'll put it here. Case closed.